Hello and welcome to our focus on stage versus screen acting. Although some of the fundamentals of acting are the same, creating a character or moving a plot forward, many differences exist between stage and screen acting. In stage acting, use of language is often the primary mechanism to convey plot and character. But in film acting, actors must know how to play for the camera, which picks up more subtleties of the face and the body and conveys a language or dialogue, often wordlessly. On stage, often the words and how we say them are paramount. But in acting for the screen, one has to think about how the story is being told through the way the camera will see it. For instance, mannerisms that read well on camera might not translate well when a performer is on stage. There are many gestures, expressions, movements an actor does in acting for the camera that are too small for the stage, whether it's a particular look or a simple shrug of the shoulder. The camera magnifies everything. Often, when one thinks about great film acting and some of the most powerful scenes, the actor isn't even speaking. By contrast, memorable stage performances often stand out for the delivery of a great line or monologue. Acting for the stage. The theater actor must have hearty vocals, clear enunciation of lines, and clear diction. These are prerequisites, especially if they are performing in a venue such as a large theater, where microphones are absent, and even when there are microphones, voices can get lost or muffled if they are not clear. Actors must be aware of their character's movement, body language, and rhythm in finding ways to express the role to a live audience. That is, using gestures, facial expressions, and movement which is somewhat broader or exaggerated, ensuring that the audience in the top rear seats can see them and read the character's emotional pulse. Likewise, timing of dialogue delivery, coordinated movements, pauses, and emphasis of these need precision and choreography to help create the suspension of disbelief and realism of the moment. The stage actor has one shot only. They do not get a second chance at the evening's performance. Once on stage, the actor must execute learned lines in character, and there is no falling out of the role even if lines are forgotten. Therefore, one must be proficient at improvisation skills, and the art of creating spontaneously is required. Once on stage, there will be times when a prop is in the wrong place or not there at all, and sometimes an accident may occur, a piece of jewelry, prop falls, or there is noise from off stage. All these have to somehow be incorporated into the performance by the actor while on stage and in the middle of the live performance. The use of space is another issue. When acting on stage, the actor, even when acting solo, has to be aware of the large space and what the use of it communicates. This is not necessary when acting for the screen, as cameras take care of most of this. In many fundamental and perhaps reductive ways, a theatrical actor's performance is largely a matter of being seen and heard, while allowing for the subtlety of the portrayal. Acting for the screen. On the other hand, when acting for the screen, the actor has to be as natural and at times as subtle as possible. Certainly they have to have a healthy, hopefully unique voice and good diction, but as there are microphones and sound technicians, they do not have to project as much and can modulate and pitch their voice to create character emotion, attitude, and motivation. With cameras and microphones so close to actors, exaggeration, broad gesticulations, and booming voices are not needed, and may, in fact, ruin a performance. Facial expression, body language, mood, and emotion all need to be kept natural, as the camera can focus on even the most subtle emotions, as well as the most subtle of artificialities. Studying different practitioners and their styles aid in naturalistic performance, such as studying Stanislavski's Magic If, which requires the actor to embody a role, live the role, be the role in order to portray it. Actors must relax into the role and get out of their own headspace and into that of their character. Sometimes this can be quite a difficult process, but once achieved, actors can create believable characters. Unlike in stage plays, the camera is the only audience. Therefore, the camera operator can stop filming, cut, and start shooting, take a scene again and again until the actor gets it right. It should be also noted that unlike acting on stage, where the performance of a whole play is acted out in one place, acting for the screen is quite different. and that scenes may not be shot in the same place or in a linear chronological way. Here are the key differences in acting for the stage versus acting for the screen. Number one is voice. When acting on stage, performers need to project their voice so that the entire audience can hear what is being said clearly. Screen acting does not require actors to project their voice because they are acting in front of a camera. The sound can always be edited after filming, and of course, when watching a movie or series on TV, you can always increase the volume. Unfortunately, that can't be done with a theater. Number two, memorizing lines. Remembering their lines is a vital part of an actor's job. For stage actors, it is imperative that they perform the lines correctly when they perform. After all, they only have one chance to get it right. There are no second chances during a live performance. This is where stage acting and screen acting differ drastically. Screen actors are able to do multiple takes of a scene until the performance has been perfected. If they mess up their lines, they can film the scene again. They have far less pressure to get it right compared to stage actors. Number three, facial expressions and body gestures. In a theater, actors perform on a stage, and that usually means a lot of distance between the audience and the performers. Due to this distance, they must exaggerate their facial expressions and body gestures so that the people in the back row can see all the action. When acting for screen, actors will have several cameras surrounding them and that are able to film close up. They don't need to exaggerate their voices or movements and are able to be more subtle and natural. Stage acting can look unrealistic on screen. Number four, emotional connection. Screen acting is much more focused, which means actors are able to express their emotions much more compared to theater actors. They are up close and personal with the cameras, and every tear, scream, and expression can be seen and heard vividly. When on stage, playing a character, the audience may not experience the emotional aspect of the performance as much due to the distance from the stage. While there may be many significant differences between stage and screen acting, acting began on a stage, and many of the techniques and theories of the stage acting were adopted for the screen actor, especially with directors who rehearse beforehand or with actors who seek to gain techniques, theories, and practices of this original acting medium. Here are 5 theories of acting. 1. Classical acting. 2. Chekhov acting technique. 3. Method acting. 4. Meisner acting technique. And number 5, practical aesthetics acting technique. The classical acting technique. Konstantin Stanislavski created the acting technique called classical acting. Stanislavski's system is an acting technique that has a systematic approach to trained actors. Areas of study include concentration, voice, physical skills, emotion memory, observation, and dramatic analysis. Stanislavski's goal was to find a universally applicable approach that could be of service to all actors. He said of his system, "Create your method. Don't depend slavishly on mine." In Stanislavski's system, also known as Stanislavski's method, it uses an actor's feelings and experiences to connect with the character they are portraying. The actor puts himself or herself in the mindset of the characters, finding things in common to give a more accurate portrayal of the character. The Chekhov acting technique. Mikhail Chekhov was a student of Stanislavski's, and he would later add to Stanislavski's system. Chekhov was a Russian-American actor and author. In this technique, the actor focuses on the internal problem the character is facing, and then expresses the issue in the form of movements. An actor, as a human being, is himself a twofold instrument. As an embodied being, he has corporality. I have a body. As a conscious being with thoughts, feelings, and will impulse, he has an inner self, the psyche soul. I have an inner life. In Chekhov's vocabulary, the term psychophysical is shorthand to indicate the actor's whole instrument, which by its essential parts is both physical and psychological. Understandably then, the first goal of the method is for the 2 parts of the actor's whole to develop together in the direction of their highest potential. In this technique, The actor physicalizes a character's need or internal dynamic in the form of an external gesture. Subsequently, the outward gesture is suppressed and incorporated internally, allowing the physical memory to inform the performance on an unconscious level. The Chekhov technique is a psychosocial approach to acting, and the Chekhov technique focuses on transformation, working with impulse, imagination, and inner and outer movements. Method acting technique. Method acting is credited to Lee Strasberg and the members of his theater group. For instance, actors Sanford Meisner, Robert Lewis, and Stella Adler all worked under Lee Strasberg, where they all developed the acting technique. Strasberg's teaching emphasized the practice of connecting to a character by drawing on personal emotions and memories, aided by a set of exercises and practices, including sense memory and affective memory. Stanislavski's system of acting was the foundation of Strasberg's technique. Followers of Strasberg's technology are now commonly referred to as method actors. Method acting is described as a form of acting where the actor becomes the character or tries to live the role in life somehow literally. The method acting technique has different varieties. Overall, method techniques used by actors force actors to imagine themselves with the thoughts and emotions of their characters to develop lifelike performances. One clear example comes from a moment where Marlon Brando was working with Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. Strasberg had an exercise wherein all of the actors were to believe and perform as if they were chickens. And yet, at the same time, there was a nuclear bomb coming to blow them up. All the actors were going around clucking and picking and getting frantic because a nuclear bomb was coming. And Marlon Brando was just sitting there eating birdseed. Strasberg came up to Brando and says, Marlon, you're a chicken and there's a nuclear bomb coming and all you're doing is eating birdseed. And Brando's response was, well, if I'm a chicken, how do I know that a nuclear bomb is coming? The Meisner acting technique. The Meisner acting technique is closely related to the method acting technique. It requires the actor to focus not on himself or herself, but entirely on the other actor, as though he or she is real and only exists at that moment. This type of acting method makes the actor's scene seem more authentic to the audience. The essential exercise that Meisner invented to train actors and their responses is called the repetition exercise. Here's an example of the activity. In this exercise, two actors sit across from each other and respond to each other through a repeated phrase. The phrase is about each other's behavior and reflects what is going on between them at the moment, such as, "You look unhappy with me right now." The way this phrase is said, as it is repeated, changes in meaning, tone, and intensity to correspond with the behavior that each actor produces towards the other. Through this device, the actor stops thinking of what to say and do and responds more freely and spontaneously, both physically and vocally. The exercise also eliminates line reading since the way the actor speaks becomes coordinated with his behavioral response. Finally, practical aesthetics acting technique. If the method acting was an apple, then practical aesthetics is an orange. Practical aesthetics is an acting technique created by David Mamet and William H. Macy, based on the teachings of Stanislavski, Meisner, and the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Practical aesthetics is based on the practice of breaking down a scene using a four-step analysis that entails the following. Literal, the most basic description of what is happening. Want. What does one character ultimately want the other actor to say or do? Essential action. What the actor wants within the scene. It is necessary to understand that what the character is doing and what the actor is doing are separate. As if. As if relates to the essential action, to the actor's own life. For instance, essential action, to retrieve what is mine. As if. It's as if my mom has taken away my favorite piece of candy that I was going to give as a gift. I need to retrieve it because it's mine. This step is a memory device, a spark to involve the actor in the scene. It helps the actor escape the fiction, find the truth, and apply it elsewhere. These are just a few practices that are often found in combination in a contemporary actor's repertoire of techniques. So, as you move forward in this module, enjoy the remarkable performances and enjoy the movies.